Hello team, welcome to another ATP Geopolitics video with myself, Jonathan MS Pearce. This is a US political update where I'm going to talk about Donald Trump and information silos. I could talk to you about an awful lot of things at the moment. So much is going on. I could talk to you about how Trump's ill health is being the subject of quite a lot of analysis. He fell asleep at a lunch table publicly in Mar-a-Lago the other day. He fell asleep in the Oval Office. As we know, he refused to answer what his MRI scan was on to reporters again the other night. I think he got a little bit tetchy about that. Maybe even admitted that he didn't know. Now, it's this I don't know answer that we keep hearing from Donald Trump that I want to investigate a little bit more. Now, I could play you montage after montage of Trump saying he knows more about that than anyone else in the world, and that being any subject he decides to talk about. He has frequently claimed that there is no one in the world that knows more than him about A, B, or C. And so it's odd that he also says, I don't know an awful lot. And we're going to look at a couple of montages of this, actually back from May, but he's been doing it all throughout his second tenure. So back in May, this was becoming apparent, and that was a good 5 or 6 months ago. So let's get into the long weeds of this. If you haven't already, please remember to like, subscribe, and share. That makes a heck of a difference. Now, I could show you this Poke article titled "This collection of Trump basically saying I don't know to the most important questions prompted no end of MAGA fury," and it just made it even better. And that was from May the 12th in 2025. And actually, there are a number of montages to show this. Here is one from TikTok.
Migrants to Libya. I don't know. You'll have to ask Homeland Security.
Is anyone in your administration right now in contact with El Salvador about returning Abrego Garcia to the United States?
I don't know. You'd have to ask the Attorney General that question.
What's your expectation for your meeting with the Canadian Prime Minister tomorrow?
I don't know. He's coming to see me. I'm not sure what he wants to see me about.
You just announced a new nominee for the U.S. Surgeon General who never finished her residency and is not a practicing physician. So can you explain why you picked her to be America's top doctor?
Because Bobby really thought she was great. I don't know her.
Have you been briefed about the soldiers in Lithuania who are missing?
No, I haven't.
A tariff exemption for certain baby items like car seats is under consideration. But will you exempt some products that families rely on?
I don't know. I'll think about it. I don't know. I really don't.
Don't you need to uphold the Constitution of the United States as president?
I don't know.
Okay, so there are a number of different examples. And in fact, this led Chris Hayes from then MSNBC, is now MS Now, to talk about this more overtly.
Donald Trump would have you believe that he must personally direct the entirety of the vast American bureaucracy. And yet, when you actually ask questions of the man in charge, he doesn't seem to know anything about the government that he's supposed to be running.
The lead prosecutor in Eric Adams' case resigned today.
Well, I don't know about it. I mean, obviously, I'm not involved.
He wants to know why the proclamation was signed in the dark.
I don't know when it was signed because I didn't sign it. Other people handled it.
Some of your top cabinet officials and aides have been discussing very sensitive material through Signal and included an Atlantic reporter for that. What is your response to that?
I don't know anything about it.
Do you still believe nothing classified was shared?
Well, that's what I've heard. I don't know. I'm not sure. You'll have to ask the various people involved. I really don't know.
Have you been briefed about the soldiers in Lithuania who are missing?
No, I haven't.
If we're holds you in contempt, will you take steps to return Kilmar Abrego Garcia to the United States and put him in front of a judge?
Well, I'm not involved in it. I'm going to respond by saying you'll have to speak to the lawyers.
Your Secretary of State says everyone who's here, citizens and non-citizens, deserve due process. Do you agree, Mr. President?
I don't know. I'm not a lawyer. I don't know.
Don't you need to uphold the Constitution of the United States as president?
I don't know. I have to respond by saying again, I have brilliant lawyers that work for me, and they are going to obviously follow what the Supreme Court said.
Are your administration sending migrants to?
So on and so forth. So you get the point. He doesn't know an awful lot. Now, I have talked about this a number of times, and I think it's a much bigger problem than you might otherwise think. there are two options here. Either he does know, and it's a difficult question, he doesn't want to answer it, and he says, I don't know. But let's take him at his word that he doesn't actually know. And this happens all the time. So many times he's asked really pressing questions, and he's like, I don't know. Or there's breaking news that he should have been briefed about. He really should have been briefed about. And he says, oh, I've not heard about this. Where have you heard that from? And you're like, you're the president of the United States. Now, you should know that. We do understand that he doesn't take intelligence briefings anymore, certainly not to the level that he is required, I think, of the man in his position. But the idea for me is that Trump is in an information silo, and he is being fed very carefully curated information that means a couple of things. One, he's not aware of bad news. So when we look at you and I look at the polling statistics for Donald Trump at the moment, we know that they are terrible. They are absolutely shocking, and they're going in the wrong direction for him consistently. There was more fresh polling out on Friday, I believe. Gallup, comparable polling that shows he's now at, was it 36% approval, or yeah, I think it is that, but it's actually worse that poll has showed a 7% drop in Republican support for him from 91% to 84. 84 is still all right, but considering that the only 3% of Democrats think he's doing a good job, and something like 24% of independents, he is in all sorts of trouble. But the question is, does he know that? He keeps coming out and saying, I've got the best polls ever, because he's being curated this information and fed this stuff, and he only ever watches Fox. Turns out that Fox News didn't mention the Epstein scandals in the 2 weeks of the Epstein scandals being really big, a really big thing, and then the vote on them and discharge petition and so on and so forth. And actually, Fox News didn't report it at all. So you have several things going on here. Like, one is like his situation with regard to what information does he know, with regard to bad news, like as I was saying, but also with regard to intelligence and briefings and knowledge about what's going on internationally, what's been going on. Like, I think he said today that he doesn't know with regard to that second strike on survivors of the Venezuelan boat that is causing all sorts of ruckus concerning Pete Hegseth, and it looks like Pete Hegseth could be in a lot of hot water at the moment. Now, he doesn't know enough about Ukraine's a great example whereby he clearly, in every single public instance that we have seen him talk about Ukraine, he doesn't know the first bit about the history of Ukraine, the culture of Ukraine, the Ukraine-Russia conflict, and the causality of it. He just doesn't know enough. And if you are the president of the United States, one of the most important positions, if not the most important position in global geopolitics, and you are making insanely vital decisions with huge ramifications, you need to know your onions. If you don't know your onions, garbage in, garbage out. If you have poor information, you're going to make poor decisions. And I think poor decisions are getting made, and I don't think he has a grasp of what's going on. And again, this comes down to not taking intelligence briefings, only watching Fox News, and having people around him that carefully curate information so that he gets just a steady diet of only ever good news and stuff that isn't, I don't think, important enough for him to know. He needs to be fed much better information, much more information. He needs to stop spending his time playing golf and falling asleep, and he needs to actually, get on and rule his country in a way that befits the president of the United States of America. Now, this is being picked up more and more, picked up by analysts in the public sphere in a way that I think should have been done months and months ago. And I was talking about this a long time ago. I think this has been one of the burning issues in the Trump administration, that he is having, the entire Trump White House, or his presidency, is being run by the Heritage Foundation. The Trump White House is being run by the Heritage Foundation. You've got Stephen Miller essentially pulling all the strings. I read Truth Social posts from Donald Trump, and it's clear that I'm only ever reading Stephen Miller's words oftentimes. You do wonder who writes all of them. There's probably a variety of people that write his social media output, but he's existing on Truth Social, where he used to exist on Twitter and watch other places other than just Fox News. It seems like he's just sitting in this information silo where he's existing on a diet of Fox News, his own sort of Truth Social, and the information he's been given. So now let's go back to listen to a couple of these analysts talk about exactly this issue. This is on MS Now. I will get you the right screen. There we go.
Question of how much Donald Trump knows, how much he is being inoculated from. You identified a moment for me months ago where it seemed like for the first time he did not even have his finger on the pulse of his own base. And I wonder sincerely if you believe that his advisors are showing him these headlines, are showing him these pollings, are being honest with him about why he is starting to see this disaffection in his ranks.
No, I don't think anybody's being honest with him. And that to me is the thing he should be the most furious about. I think a lot of people have always kind of held back around Trump because of, his famously bad temper and he doesn't like to hear bad news. I get all that, but he always had direct access to the zeitgeist because he engaged in Twitter, so he would see the comments. Truth Social just isn't the same. It is a really small subset. It's filled with a lot of spammy body type accounts. He doesn't actually get responsiveness there. And Fox News has been so thoroughly purged, either because anyone that would be critical of Trump or give sort of a perspective that would challenge him but still be supportive is gone, or they join the administration. I mean,
this is a really good point that actually there is a self-referential, or no, that's probably the wrong term, but it's this scenario whereby he's his own worst enemy because he doesn't like criticism at all, and so he only watches Fox News and he criticizes people that remotely are critical of him, so that then they get sidelined, and you get this process that goes on and on and on. And after sort of 4 years of Trump 1.0, then 4 years, and then Trump 2.0, this whole chronology has led to a situation where he's not listening to anyone who criticizes him, and therefore he's not really aware of those criticisms. And then when they do pop up, he's like, it's fake news. It's fake news because I've not heard about it anywhere in my information spaces, and no one's ever whispered this to me. And my aides around me either don't have the guts to tell me this stuff, or they don't want to tell me this stuff so they can keep me in this bubble. And then when I hear something that might burst that bubble, it's just fake news.
He took 26 of their people and brought them in. He lost any real access to that zeitgeist. And that is the thing that Trump has always been able to use to inform his tactical decisions. It's his marketing background. And when you're a tabloid creature, you need to have access to how that stuff is playing. He's just not getting it. Whatever policy he's citing are nonsense. He doesn't really know it. It doesn't matter because it's never really been the thing that dictates to him anyway. What dictates to him is his read on the room. And if he's not in the room and he can't see it, he can't read it and he can't respond to it. And that's why you see all of these fractures within the MAGA universe beginning to turn into wider and wider fault lines and cracks and things seemingly starting to unravel because he's not doing the type of maintenance work that's there. And the last thing I'll say is, Charlie Kirk isn't alive anymore. He's not around. And that actually does matter here because he was somebody throughout the course of this year that was flagging these sort of incubating internal battles for Trump to respond to give a little TLC to. There isn't anyone doing that function either. And so he's lost direct access, and the few pieces that gave him that feedback loop are gone as well.
Fascinating point there. And then we're going to come on to a Jim Acosta interview here. I do like the shirt that his interview is wearing. I stand with Ukraine. Brilliant. But this is Jim Acosta, former CNN guy, talk about a similar scenario here, but actually with regard to the Trump supporters, the Trump base that themselves live in this silo. If they're only ever watching Fox News, do they understand what's going on outside of that world?
Glorious, and it was an important moment to me, not to like puff you up or anything, but it was an important moment to me because I think part of the reason why we're in so much trouble as a country right now is that you have so many people like stuck in this information, this Fox information silo, and they are just not hearing from the outside world. I had this great person, Julia Jeske from Decoding Fox News. She's on Substack, a lot of other socials.
Great.
And she breaks down, the Epstein coverage. And I had her on my show on Friday, and she was showing this line graph. Almost zero mentions of Jeffrey Epstein all week long last week, even when they were having these incredible historic votes and all of this stuff.
Yeah.
It's not penetrating. And so when you went on there and did that to Hannity, it was really an important moment, I thought, because, gosh darn it, what they're doing to this, I used to call them I can't say it because you're on terrestrial radio, the BS factory.
Yeah.
And, it's a little more dangerous than that now.
Well, Jim, I guess my point is, aren't you struck by that we are here in this nightmare in this country because of the media coverage of quote unquote Joe Biden's decline, who, by the way, I just saw him yesterday looking great. Didn't Jake Tapper tell us he was going to be in a wheelchair by now? And, and I mean, and I feel like
where are the books on Trump? Right.
And that's what I'm saying, Jim, is do we all have eyes and ears? You can see his decline, like physically, mentally. Like, I feel like it's the biggest story that seems to be some third rail.
He was doing this speech in front of some business group last week where he was talking about, water pressure. And he was talking, I'm not kidding. Go back and look at this video, the drip, he calls it the drip.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, it's the ramblings of somebody who is obviously in decline. And, people can be afraid to say it because, they don't want Donald Trump to go after them and so on. But it is what it is. Like, are we not going to see what's right in front of our faces?
Well, Fox News don't show that. They have famously, and not just Fox News, actually, over Trump's political career, he has been sanewashed, as they call it, which is where they kind of edit his speeches, or if it's in written media, they translate what he actually says into intelligible English, and that's how they write it. But actually the man doesn't make a lot of sense, but that is getting edited out. So, if you're watching Fox News, you just get a thoroughly skewed understanding of what Trump is actually doing and actually saying, and you don't hear any of the criticisms against him.
Pulitzer Prize for the first reporter that just says, "What the are you talking about?"
Yes, basically. That's it. And it's more than grandpa needs a cookie. You know what I mean? Like, and the keys need to be taken away. It's a lot more serious than that.
Yeah, absolutely.
He's got the codes, as they say.
Oh, jeez.
We can't have the guy with the weave holding on to the codes.
Oh my God. I got to tell you, Jim, you are doing an amazing.
So there is a very serious issue here, and that is that Donald Trump doesn't have access to the requisite information that he needs. And the electorate, or at least a proportion of the electorate in the United States, don't have access to the information that they need. I mean, potentially they have access, but they don't access it because they live in this silo, and they're being fed a constant diet of Trump adulation, no criticism. And so they either don't know what's going on in the wider world accurately, or they have an inkling, but they actually want to bury themselves with confirmation bias in this world where they only hear really positive things for and about Donald Trump. So yeah, both Donald Trump and his base supporters are suffering from the very same problem. But the issue with Trump existing in that silo is he's making far more important decisions than the average base member of the Republican Party. So, it is so crucial that the leader of the United States has a firm grasp on all the subjects upon which he's making these incredibly crucial decisions. It appears that those decisions are being made with people with really firm ideological bents, like Stephen Miller. And that is, I think, a challenge for anyone that looks forward to societies with free and fair elections and democratic ideals. But there you go. This is an issue. Trump doesn't know enough about stuff. And finally, mainstream media outlets are actually discussing this explicitly. It's been too long, but I think this needs to be one of the I think it needs to be discussed far, far more often. Let me know what you think. Take care. and I'll speak to you soon.